Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. This is the Manchester United versus West Ham preview, back with another preview. The games are coming thick and fast. I believe we've got 6 Premier League matches in December. So as soon as the new year starts to arrive, I feel like we're going to have a much better picture at where United's season is standing. And I feel like maybe the league will start to take better shape, because right at the moment it's carnage. I think it's like 5 points between 3rd and 14th place. There has never ever been parity and competitiveness like it. Some people think the league got worse for it. Personally, I think it's got better. And that's what makes the game against West Ham a potential banana skin. I think any game that United play these days can be a banana skin. We saw it against Everton. We followed up with a win against at Selhurst Park. And then you've got a lowly West Ham that are struggling, porous, got injuries. Paquetá's out suspended. Jared Bowen's out of form, relying on Callum Wilson up front. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, surely United are going to put them away at home. But you can never, ever count your chickens before they are hatched when you're supporting this club right now. And that goes without saying. But honestly, I'm quietly confident, and I think that's a concern. I'm usually the cynic, usually quite pessimistic, usually thinking, you know what? I'm quite worried about most matches, but I'm not about this one. I just think in the end we're going to have too much quality for them, and obviously with Cunha coming back into the mix, I think it won't be a simple task. I think it's going to be an arduous effort. I think it's going to be a little bit of a grind, but I think in the end we are going to make it. We are going to end up, because I'm going to get into their team a little bit more anyway, but I just don't quite see how this team can hurt us. Famous last words. But when I look into the history of things, I looked at the statistics before I came onto this. I was like, you know what? For these previews, before we play team, we're going to have a little look at what, like the recent history in terms of head-to-heads, etc., are between the clubs. And to be fair, West Ham have won, I think, 4 of the last 5 meetings in the Premier League against United. And they did the double over us last season. But it depends about how much of that is going to factor in when United have had a season of smashing negative records, but actually beating bogey teams. We beat Palace, we beat Brighton, and those have notoriously been teams in recent times that we've struggled to get results against. So maybe that's a good omen for the West Ham match, because I think, saying that, one of the only other times they beat us at Old Trafford was the famous Carlos Tevez winner at Old Trafford, if you might remember, in 2006, 2007, just around the time that I started watching football properly. I think the famous Tevez goal that helped him stay up. I think that's one of the only recent times we've also won at Old Trafford. So it's not something that is commonly done. And United's home form has, before Everton, prior to that, been one that was quite strong. But the only unfortunate thing for us is that we keep conceding goals. We keep conceding chances. And the more goals you concede, the more difficult it is to win. And that sounds reductive, but it's true. I said it to the lads downstairs. You can score goals in a match and still lose the game. But if you don't concede, then you can't lose. I think defending should always be the stalwart of a team, and where you build your precedent on. And then you can kind of fix the attack. What United have done is they've fixed the attack and become a little bit better going forward this season. But the defending and defensive record has gone backwards. United just need to find that balance in that mix. But Cunha, I believe, is back now. He's back fit and he's back firing. And I think he's going to be extremely important to kind of opening up what I expect to be a very deep, very low blocking, very pragmatic Nuno's side with West Ham, especially going away to Old Trafford, where they haven't been in good form. They're struggling for results, and they haven't really got a plethora of attacking options as it is. So I'm expecting them to fully come out with a 5-4 low block. Obviously, you're going to have the wing backs of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We know how good he is defensively 1v1. They've got Juve on the other side, left wing back. Great in the final third, got an exceptionally final third delivery. He's an up-and-coming star, I believe, just playing for a very, very bad team. Someone that I think United should keep an eye on, especially for the left wing-back option if West Ham go down. And even their back three, their three centre-halves haven't been that great. I think Kilman's been a little bit of a flop for them. £40 million signing from Wolves. You've got Tadibo, inconsistent, but still probably been one of their better defenders in the back three. And I think Areola's having to, even though they're losing games, Areola's been one of their better performers in net. And he's actually almost saved them from matches and scorelines being a lot even more embarrassing than they could be. And you've got Jared Bowen, who they rely on heavily. Things have started to dry up for him in terms of goals and assists. And they've got Callum Wilson, who on his day can be a handful, but he's definitely at the back end of his career, the twilight years, and someone that shouldn't really strike fear into Manchester United. But we do our best to make any strike or one forward at least for the opposition look like R9, don't we? And I think even their midfield issues that they've got, I think Paquetá being out is a massive miss for them in terms of physicality and technical ability perspective. But it might even make them go a little bit more, even more defensive and pragmatic. So I feel like it almost worsens the conditions for us. I think Potts is an academy graduate that they play in midfield now. And then you got the likes of Fernandez, and I think they might play Thomas Soucek, who's always someone that you have to be concerned about. He's got them instincts. He crashes the box very well. He's great in the air, set piece threat. And I wonder if he's going to be put into the team to defend set pieces, who United have become remarkably good at, but also being a potential threat the other way if they do break forward. Because I think the only real opportunity they have to beat us really is set pieces or us being really, really poor defensively. Because even if they're sitting in a low block, without Somerville, they don't have exceptional pace to break out in transition anyway. So everything does kind of point towards United being very favourable in the matchup. But it never ever works that way. Because in me, I'd love for United to do 90 minutes of brilliant performance, put us that team away, 3-0, happy days, go into Wolves, who haven't won a game this season, quietly confident. Not even quietly, loudly. But as you've seen this season, no game in the Premier League is easy. They all carry their element of difficulty. And they're all different, and styles make fights. But there's a serious opportunity here. United have only lost one game in the last 7 league games, with West Ham and Wolves next. That could very easily look like one loss in 9, and United could go on a 3-game win streak again. And all of a sudden, the whole optics and the dynamic of how the season looks very different going into the second half of the season, going into January, giving ourselves a little bit of that comfort blanket that you might need when you've basically got this impending AFCON situation coming on, where it's Ahmad gone and Bumo gone. My brain almost farted then. And then we know how difficult that's going to be to navigate. I think United need to make use of these games that we've got now, bank points, cement ourselves in a decent league position, so that if we can navigate the whole AFCON, Ahmad and Bumo situation with a little bit of a contingency in terms of the points we've collected, because we know it's going to be difficult. But anyway, I'm going to get into my my predicted 11. Obviously, you got Martinez back. He had a nice little cameo on the weekend against Palace. Obviously, his character and his presence is going to be a massive impact on the team as well. Don't think he's going to be quite ready to start. And then obviously, Cunha is the major question, because he does come back into the team after what I believe might have been a concussion and a head injury. And then you just got them question marks about whether he goes straight back into the team. Obviously, you've seen Mount scored against Palace. Xerxes got himself on the score sheet. And with him missing the last 2 games, as important as he is, and the abilities he does carry in terms of his ball carrying and his dribbling ability and his ability to kind of make something out of nothing. Sometimes these games are where you do need your Mavericks. I just sometimes think it's hard to change a winning team. Some of you may agree or disagree, but the starting 11 that I have gone with is Lemens in goal. I've gone for a back three of Mazraoui, De Ligt and Luke Shaw. I've decided to drop Euro. I think Euro's having a little bit of a difficult time with it lately, and he's a young player that needs to have his minutes managed. And I think he needs a little bit of time out of the firing line. And I'm pretty sure he'll come good, because he's got too much quality, too much ability and too much potential. And then I've gone for wing backs of Delo, who I thought had a great game against Palace, my guy. Amad Diallo, right wing back. Ahmad has to start wing back. Double full backs at wing backs never worked well for us. And I've gone for the midfield pivot of Casemiro and Bruno, who have pretty much been mainstays in there. And I've gone for a front three. this is the drum roll situation of Mbumo, and I've gone Xerxes, and I've gone Mount, and I'm going to keep it unchanged. Cunha on the bench just for now. I might even change my mind by tomorrow. It would be too late by then. But I just think 2 games, Mount playing okay, obviously getting himself on the score sheet. Xerxes kind of getting himself up to speed. Obviously, Sesko's out as well. I was very tempted to put Cunha straight in. I think a lot of you might disagree about, obviously, his omission, but I think just keep him on ice. If things aren't going well 45, 50 minutes, then bring him on. I don't mind making early changes at all, and I think he's someone that can come on and spark something and change the game. I think a fresh-legged Cunha as well coming on will be of huge importance, and I do obviously have this thing in my mind of United's strength in depth in terms of attacking areas is very, very thin. And if you do start with it, all the big guns, and it's 60 minutes and they're all tired and we're still struggling to break West Ham down, you're looking at the bench and you aren't seeing many game changes to kind of add a little bit of juice to it. And that's something I'm definitely thinking about. But that's definitely the starting 11 that I'm going to go with. And that's if I'm going to predict what I think the end up result will be, I'm predicting a 3-1 for United. I do think we'll concede. Our ability to keep clean sheets is poor. I think we're 3rd worst in the league in terms of expected goals against, which doesn't bode well. But I think we'll have too much quality in the end for West Ham. And I think we'll learn from the mistakes of Everton, and we'll be a little bit sharper and have a little bit more luck in front of goal. I think that's hopeful thinking. Probably people might think it will end up being a bit tighter. Wouldn't surprise me if it ended up being a 0-0, but I've gone for the positive angle, and I think we'll win 3-1. Get 3 points, and then we'll go into the Wolves game, which I think will actually be more difficult than the West Ham one. Definitely Wolves away, new manager bounce, a lot of physicality and pace in their team. I watched them against Tottenham. I watched them in a few games, Wolves, and they're bad, but they're not quite as bad as you think. They can cause problems, and we've got players that can turn up like Strand Larsen, Hwang, João Gomez. They're pretty decent in midfield. I think they're just, if Rob Edwards gets it right, they have a lot of traits to their team that could be very, very difficult for United and all the things that we struggle against. But as long as we keep Jared Bowen quiet, avoid set pieces, I think United should get the job done. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think your starting 11 is. What is your predictions for the game? How confident are you? But that is a preview from me. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you next time.